Okay, voila. Okay, we are running. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, folks. Okay, so before I start sharing, I wanted to be able to address ourselves to the team. So we're going to go ahead, speaker view, and go full. Okay, there you go. Okay, excellent. Um, Now, this training here, folks, is an important training. Now, there are components that you have seen before. There's no question. But what we did is we tried to segment it in a way that you can actually duplicate the process. And it's really, really important because what we're about to share is exactly what Tammy and I focused on actually more than a decade ago in preparing towards getting to the next pin rank and the next pin rank and the next pin rank. And in 2015, when the primes were introduced, there's been obviously there's been a lot of misconception with the prime, but I just want you to understand how it's being used to solidify the bronze, and we'll cover that. And what's really important here is that not what's important is not just that I'm not able to phrase this correctly. What's important is that you get it, but more importantly is that you duplicate it. For some reason, it didn't want to come out. So that's how it came out. So that's absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. And don't let the simplicity of what we're going to share with you get in the way of the possibilities that will occur within your organization by following those guidelines. So let me bring back the chats. Now, another thing that I would love to encourage is as we share, and if you're on Facebook Live, unfortunately, I'm not looking at a message on Facebook Live, but I will look at them later on. If you have any comments, even after, let's say tomorrow, you're listening to this training and you understand you can still post messages, we will still see them. These messages are important for us. It gives us a sense of direction of how you feel with the information and what we share. Do you resonate with it? And not only that, but with the feedback you give us, it gives us a sense of direction for future trainings, some elements that you may want to see that you didn't see or things like that. So obviously live here on the back end with Zoom on the chat section, we also welcome any feedback in real time. But just want you to know that your voice matters, okay? I know we live in society sometimes that we feel that we're among hundreds or thousands of people and we don't really matter. That is not true. Every single voice matters. And I'm telling you, Tammy and I really look at every post and every comments. And what you will find is if you comment with more than just Max Morning, instead of just putting a like, I will take the time to respond to your comments. Okay? So just notice that is if people engage, I will engage back. And this is something that Eric was talking about, which I find is very important. And if everybody engage, I will engage with everybody. But if it's just a quick little message and a quick little like, well, I'll respond in kind. And it's just something that I found works really well. And the more you engage, the more your trainings, the more your videos, the more your content becomes relevant in the eyes of others as they see. Okay? So this evening, the training is about reaching your core rank. This is absolutely critical. So I'm going to go back here and share back the screen and go back to the presentation. I just want to make sure, does everybody see reaching your core rank? Yes. Give me the thumbs up. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. For some reason, from time to time, people get a black screen and I need to figure out why this occurs. So as I stated here, is reaching your core rank. And one of the very, very important part in reaching your core rank, and this is something that Eric was sharing last week. I think it was last Friday, Tammy? Yeah. And I felt that Max's core rank is so in line, almost verbatim, of what Eric was sharing about the importance of the core rank. And one is it can be achieved within 30 to 90 days. Now, I know some of you done it a lot quicker than that, but we're always trying to be generic where within 30 days to 90 days, within the first month or 3 months. This is more than enough to reach your bronze if you apply the principles that we're going to be sharing right now. Okay, number 2 is it needs to be balanced. Needs to be balanced, left team and right team. Really, really, really important, right? I know that some of you might have benefited from an upline that might have done some work and you kind of irritated from that volume. And of course, we welcome you to, to cash in on it. But what's really important is that you also need to balance left and right. Otherwise, you'll have limitation on your growth if you think of, well, what is my upline going to do for me and what have you done for me lately? If you think that way, you will find that it'll be difficult for you to move up in rank and there'll be a lot of obstacles and challenges because you haven't balanced both of your organization with your own business. Okay, that's really, really important. So balance left and right. Number 3 is it should be paying anywhere between $200 to $500. Hello, I mean it's right on the dot. I mean it's right on. Absolutely correct. Okay, that's our core rank. I think everybody knows what we're talking about. And what's really important is that you understand that your core rank, if you duplicate it, starting with you, this can take you all the way to crown. And think about it. What are the requirements for you to become a silver, a gold, a platinum? It's all about reaching the core rank. So you understand? So these are the 4 elements that are absolutely critical. We have it with flying colors. So let's just revise quickly because, some of you obviously are seasoned when it comes to this core rank. And some of you might be looking at this for the very first time. Maybe some of you are looking at this in a year or 2 from now. Okay, that won't change. That is your core rank. So tell me what you kind of walk people through it a bit.
Sure. So the first qualification is your auto ship, is to make sure that you're on auto ship with a minimum of 100 points. And we teach people to do it at the beginning of the month, the first of the month. And there's a whole strategy around that. If you do it and you can teach it and other people do it and teach it, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hit their prime ones, which is the building blocks to get to your core rank. So teach and train your team members to get their auto ship set up early in the month. And some markets, they're not setting up auto ships, they're going into the office to pick up their products. So it's the same thing. And then the first goal is to get your first 2 people that would do the same thing. Put one on the left and one on the right. Okay? And then from there, you want to make sure that you have 2,000 volume on the left, 2,000 volume on the right. And the goal is to become a bronze associate. And that, to become a bronze, that is our core rank with Max International. So keep that in mind. The goal is for you to reach your bronze level so that you then can teach people to get to the bronze level. So if you don't quite understand how to get to bronze, get back to the person.
We'll cover that actually.
Of course, we're going to cover it, but also get back to the person because sometimes you'll look at the training and you need some support with your team on where do I place this person, where do I place that person. Well, the person who sponsored you or your upline leader is going to support you on that.
So understand that the basic requirements: 100 PV, personal volume, 2 active associates. That means you got one on the left, one on the right that are also earning, or should say, ordering 100 CV. And the total volume from your left team and your right team, regardless of who brought them in. It could be from you or it could be from your upline. Okay? We encourage that you also do part of the work. Generally, your upline is not going to build 2 sides for you. But there might be a situation that occur. But at the end of the day, left team, right team. Total of 2,000 CV combined. And just understand too that one side could be cumulative. I'll give you some example in a minute. And the other side, we call it the pay team, has to be in a calendar month. Okay, for example, let's just say that last month you have accumulated, 2,500 CV over the past 3 months. That's what you have on your, let's say, your strong team. Okay, and your pay team, you've accumulated, 1,500. Well, you need 500 CV, 500 CV to reach the 2,000, and it has to occur in that month. Okay? And if you have any questions along the way, please do post them. And remember that if you are on Facebook Live, you want to post a comment, do them there, and we'll answer them in all due time. And here are the packages that are important. Now, this is in US and in Canada. Now, I know that there could be many countries, especially tomorrow, as we are in the middle of the night and the rest of the world wake up while we sleep here in North America. Some of you are going to listen to this training. We understand that different packages will apply based on your country. So don't worry about packages. It's really irrelevant for what we're sharing here today. It's just that in the context of North America, we're dealing with, for example, 100 CV. There's a package for $160 US, $250. It's one of the most popular package. It's called the new intro pack. It's a great way to start modest with the right amount of products to prepare 8 trial packs for people to try. Okay, and we do a lot of trainings. If you go back to activeteamtraining.com, you can listen to how we do the prospecting and all these things, and we give you all sort of tips on how to share this information. Okay, so I do recommend for you to go there. If someone feels, if you don't mind putting in on the chat portion here, is activeteamtraining.com. This is where all their trainings are. And by the way, just FYI, Tammy and I are updating these trainings as we move forward. And we're not very fast simply because we're dealing with a lot of other things at the same time, but we're also revamping those trainings. But because they're older, with older images, it doesn't mean the content is not the same. If you look at if I may use the Bible as an example, even if it's a couple thousand years old, you understand that what you read 1,000 years ago, what you read now, it's the same information. These are constants. Right? These are principles. Now, I didn't want to turn that into a biblical. You understand what I'm trying to say? Is that don't think that because it's older that it's not relevant. It's very relevant. So pay attention to these trainings. Very, very important. Thank you, Jasmine. So from there, the Momentum Pack, awesome package, right? This one will generate 300 CV, which is $495. And there's another one that's called the Celgivity Professional Pack, and we have the Celgivity Premier Pack. Again, these are all packages, and if you want to grow an organization, folks, you got to plant seeds. And to plant seeds, you need to have seeds to plant. So if everybody starts with no product, just an authorship, there's nothing to build with. Do you understand? And that's why everything is on standstill if you try to build an organization. People need to understand there's a little bit of an investment that needs to be made to be able to get your seeds so you can plant them. And when it comes time to harvest, that's when you will benefit from the growth that's been occurring in your organization. So these are going to sign up packages that are available. So why don't we talk about creating some time target goals? Really important.
Yeah, so the first of the month, you want to create some time target goals. On the first of the month, what you plan on doing day 1, which is your auto ship, as we talked about. Once you did your auto ship, check it off. That's day 1. By day 7, maybe you want to have your first new associate in. So you want to be able to talk to quite a few people to be able to qualify people to get your first person into the business. So you want to set a mid-month target goal and an end-of-the-month target goal as well. So you're always working strategy. If you don't set a target goal or a strategy on building your business, most likely the month is going to go by. We all know we have busy lives. The month's going to go by and very little has happened or nothing at all has happened. So the key is to constantly set those time target goals.
And by the way, I will take this training and I will put it in a comment section when I upload the video on YouTube. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And again, if you want to have access to everything we do, you're welcome to subscribe to the Active Team Training. Okay, subscribe. And if you happen to like something, just click like on it. Click that little button, click like on it, and love to have your comments. So very, very important. So you can take this slide and you can print it. And I really suggest to take action on what you're going to do on day 1. What is your associate going to do on day 1? What about day 7? What about day 15? What about the first 30 days? Well, some of you may say, I want to get to prime 1, or I want to get to goal. I know I'm skipping the gun a little bit because some of you understand what's going on with how we build this business, but set some target goals. I cannot stress this enough. So here were the examples, right? So target 1 dealership, senior associate, and having your 3rd new associate. It's just, these are examples that you may want to keep in mind. It may be different for you. It might be more aggressive. It might be a little less aggressive. We don't know how your life looks like, but it's important. I'm telling you, if you set a target and you program your mind with what you want to achieve, you are most likely, or your chances of reaching these targets are much greater than if you just imagine it and you don't do it. Yeah. That is a fact. So at this point, we want to connect the dots. Okay, so we want to make sure that you understand the basics. Some of you, this may be very basic, but understand, if it's basic for you, it might help you with the verbiage on how you would train a new person. So let's pay attention. So let's say we're talking about month 1. I want to make sure that everybody is seeing that. Everybody's seeing month 1? Give me the thumbs up if you do. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. I will keep coming back to you to make sure that I don't keep talking and you don't seeing a slide. So you have your left side and your right side. And we do understand, based on the senior associate requirement, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And that's what this means. So you have the initial order on the left with 300 CV. So that means that this person got a momentum pack. That means that you received a $75 fast start commission. Now, I'm not going to a compensation plan training here. I just want you to understand the mechanic to reach your core rank. Okay. Now, on the right side, you sponsored someone else who came in with his initial order. That's 125 CV. In his case, he came with the intro pack. Okay, the one that's $250, and that means you got a check for $50. So in this case, you had a check for $75 and a check for $50, so you have $125 received on fast start commission. Okay, if that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. I want to make sure you're not falling asleep on me. Beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, now here's something that's important, and I wanted to share this in a simple approach. Because there's 2 ways to calculate your income and your binary team. Okay? It's because often we used to talk about the pay team and 10% of the pay team. And people say, well, why am I not getting paid on the other team? You always were getting paid on both teams. So in the documentation and the max compensation plan PDF that we shared a few months back or a few weeks back, you'll notice that it talks about the 5%. So what happens is the company will take the smaller amount as the dominating amount, because you can't take more than 125 at a side as only 125 to offer. That's where the 125 comes from. So you can't take 300 from 125. It doesn't exist. You haven't done the work yet. So what a company does is says, okay, 125 will be deducted from the left team. This is what you see here. 300 CV based on the initial order and 125 CV deducted. You are left with 175 CV on the left team. And on the right team, because we took the entire amount, it's 0. So what the company does is says, okay, well, we're going to give you 5% from the 125 CV, which is $6.25. Now, don't be, I know these are small amounts, but this also occurs with 100,000, if you understand what I mean. Okay, so let's keep it so it's easy to absorb. So what happens here is if you look at 5% with 125 CV, it's 625. So when you add the 2 amounts, that gives you the $12.50. But once you become a bit more seasoned and you've seen that 1,000 times, probably not 1,000 times, but you know what I mean, often, all you need to do to get to the same amount but quicker is you simply look at the smaller amount You don't have to do all the calculation because all you need to do is, well, okay, or I'm going to take 10% from my pay team. This is what it is. That's the pay team. So 10% from the pay team right away, $12.50.
That's the easiest way. I like to do 10% of the lesser volume.
So, and I'm sharing this with you because if you are explaining this to someone and you see that for the first time, the first instinct of why am I not getting paid on the left? You are. It's just that visually, it's easier to say 10% from the pay team. And be careful when you use the word the smaller team. Nobody wants to be on a small team, right? It gives a negative kind of association to I don't want to be there. The reality is you actually want to be where I'm going to be focusing my effort,
That's where you're
right?
building.
But just choose your words carefully. You're in my pay team, right? It's just it sounds better and it's more it's better received. Okay, so this is where this comes from. So in this case, you would see $12.50 that would get into your max pay if you happen to be a North American and you are, as you know, we have the max pay system. In different countries, it's your direct deposits, which at the end of the month, there might be more things that happen. You remember there's a faster commission. I just mentioned earlier, it was $125 plus the $12.50. Technically, this is what you would see. Okay, and again, if there's questions, need some clarity, please do let me know and I will come back to that. Do you have any comments on that?
Is it clear, you guys?
Give me a thumbs up if it's clear. Perfect. Okay, now let's move on. Month 2. Okay, what's going on? Well, what's happening here on month 2 is you have some authorships because that person and that person enrolled last month. So now this month, you're seeing 120 CV because they got, I don't know, a CELGVD and a max ATP. Okay, that's 120 CV. And that's what you see over here. Maybe this person is ordering exactly 100 CV. That's what they decided to do. So you see 100 CV on your right side. Okay, but what's happening is you went to work on the second month. Maybe some people on your team went to work on the second month. In this case, it doesn't really matter who brought who. Okay. The reality here is I would recommend that you do the work because people tend to do what you do. So what happens over here is this person came in with an initial order of 300 CV. That person came in with an initial order of 400 CV. So that person could have sponsored those two, or maybe it's you that brought in those two, or you brought one of the two and she brought one. Whatever the situation is, what's happening is we are calculating 945 CV of new volume, okay, which the authorship plus the new volume and the 175 from the previous month. You remember? So that's where the 175 comes from because last month there was 175 left there. And my pay team happened to be the right side. The strong team was my left side. But this month, something happened on the right side. You see, you went to work. Okay, and you might have sponsored this person on your right. And this person on the right, she went ahead and she sponsored someone on the left. She's motivated. And she sponsored a teacher, for example. And that person you sponsored last month went to work. And this person sponsored this gentleman over here who placed the initial order of 300 CV. And that person is excited, called their friend who has a great farm and it's winter right now, they have time, and boom, they came in with 120 CV, initial order. So when you total all that up with the new CV, remember there was new CV from last month because that was the pay team. But this month, this team has accumulated 1,320 CV of new volume plus the 100 from last month. That's where this come over here. So the total amount you see here is 1,320 CV. On the left side, we have 1,120 CV. Now I'm asking you a question. Okay? Which side is your pay team right now? Right, left if you think it's left, or right if you think it's right. And if there's a mathematical calculation, Lucy, I apologize. I'll fix it later. Okay? Just let's focus on the concept. So what's happening here, we have 120 CV on the left, and 1,320 CV on the right side. Okay, so everybody's in agreement that the left team happens to be your pay team. And that is correct. See, last month, the right side was your pay team. Now this month, the left side is your pay team. Okay? So what's happening here is if we do the math, what's going on? Well, it's the same thing. If we go back to the previous slide, sorry. Okay, if you go back to the previous slide, 1,120 CV on the left side is a dominating amount. So that's the amount that will be deducted from both sides. So what's happening over here is we have 1,120 on the left, deducted, it's 0. We took the entire amount to maximize the volume. On the right side, we have 1,320 CV minus the 120. There's 200 CV left on the right side. Okay? Now, what's happening, if you look at the 10% from the pay team, looks how easy it is to look at. You look at 1,120, 10%, 112. Boom. Very straightforward and easy to figure out which would be your paycheck in your binary team. Okay? Now there's a message here.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's direct.
Okay. So what's happening here is it's just so you understand the concept. Okay? And to be able to move up to a new pin rank, it's very important that you understand that the pay team has to meet the requirement on that calendar month. Okay? So in this case, if we continue on this logic, okay, what's going on over here? Okay, we have 345 CV on the left that is remaining. And excuse me, let me rephrase that. That 345 CV is the new CV. Now, this is where your business starts creating foundation. Because now these are all auto ship.
First day of the month.
First day of the month. Okay, everybody's on auto ship. So your income right now is 345 CV. That means that we're not done sponsoring. We're not done building the business. You can't sit on that and hope that these folks are going to grow the business. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If you want to get to your goals, it's very, very important that you stay the course and keep doing the activities. Okay? So on the right-hand side, what's happening is we have 520 CV. If you calculate all the ownership. See, I didn't add any new people here. Okay, otherwise, you have to reduce the slide and everything else. I want you to understand the concept here is that your authorship is your business. So if you enroll new associates in your business and they don't get the value of the authorship, they don't sign up for authorship, what's happening is your business will never grow because you never add the monthly authorship that will be cumulative over time with the new packages when new associates comes into the business. And that's the life breed of your organization. So over here, if you recall, we had 200 CV from last month that was left, that was carried over. So now we're starting this month with 720 CV on your right side and 345 CV on your left side. And that is your true volume. And as Tammy stated, if it's done at the beginning of the month, then you know that on the first, second, or third, or fifth of the month, you know what your income is if nothing changes till the end of the month. That gives you 3 weeks or 4 weeks to plan how your month will be to get to the next pin rank or to get to a higher paycheck that could be in between ranks, if you know what I'm saying. And that's how you strategize. The little circle over here is you're probably reaching level 1. On your way to level 2. That will also add up to the fast start commissions, the binary team income, and now the prime one coming in. And I'm going to focus a little bit on prime one later on so you understand why it's important not to ignore the prime one so you can maintain the growth of your organization.
All right, so you've seen this over and over and over again. So I'm just going to do a quick summary for those who are brand new. The Max Action Plan is available for download on the Active Team website. And those are your 5 core steps to success. Number 1, auto ship. Number 2, senior associate. One on the left, one on the right. Personally sponsored by you, with each a minimum of 100 points. And then the third aim is prime bonus level 1. You need 500 active volume from the people that you personally bring into the business. So we always say go get 5. That way you're playing it safe to qualify for your prime 1. So if you have 5 people in your team already within the second or third month, you have 5 active people that you've trained to go prime 1 day 1, then you'll be prime 1 day 1. And if they go out and do the same thing, then they'll be prime 1 day 1, you'll be prime 2 day 1 if you have 3 of those people qualified. So we really stress the importance of doing all of this at the beginning of the month, so you're building your building blocks quickly on the first few days of the month. And then that way you know your strategy on what you need to do from that day for another 28 days or so, depending on how many days of the month. So that's the core strategy to get to bronze, and then 5 is to duplicate.
So the fact here is these are the steps. Now that we know what the core rank is, and many of you already understood the pay team, the left side, the right side, but some of you might be looking at this for the very first time. Maybe that has set a bit of clarity for you. But these are the steps now. And that's what's really, really important. Walk through these steps and do them. You need to qualify for those before you can get others to qualify for them. If you're not qualified for them, what's going to happen is you're not duplicating starting from you. If every single one of you right now is prime 1 qualified, that will change the faith of this country. I'm not kidding. It's that simple. Make sure that you meet the requirement, and then we'll tell you the importance of that in a minute. Okay? So, in moving forward,
it's just an illustration of everything that we've shared with you. So you can actually fill in the sheet, put your name for your 100 points, qualified first day of the month, who are your 5 people, and then on the bottom part, you can see there's 5 extra squares for each of the 5, and that's their 5. So if everyone is doing that, and you take these blocks that's built in the binary organization, this is the way you see it in the binary organization on the right, then you'll get there a whole lot faster. That's why our strategy to hit that core rank is critical. And fast is better than slow. If you do it faster, yes, it's work at the beginning. No question, there's work involved. Okay, because you're talking to new people, you're qualifying people, you're sending them videos, and there's a follow-up, and then you're going to get your sponsor involved to talk to the person. And then once these people, their answers are there for their questions, then they decide to join, and then you walk them through the new associate orientation. But once that's duplicated and the foundation is built, you're going to be so grateful that you did this faster than slower.
Now,
Those
Tammy,
who
I
have
want to
done
focus
it
on
slow,
something here. Sorry for interrupting, but to something before we get off topic. See, the reason why I put this slide here, it's you've seen this training before on the new associate orientation, building the bronze. But the reason I put this here is you saw earlier where the authorship were the only thing that I looked at. Do you recall? And you had 100 CV, 120 CV, 100 CV, and you saw smaller amounts. So I did that purposely because that is the reality how we used to build before. That's before 2015. In 2015, when he introduced the primes, that had changed everything. This is the reason why Africa grew and started creating diamonds in 9 months. Okay? The reason why is because we're not talking about 100 CV anymore. We're talking about 600 CV here. Why is that? Because the prime qualifier started duplicating and it took life. And what happens is if you teach everybody to do prime 1, then it's not the prime one income that interests me. It never did. It's the duplication factor of that 600 CV that got my eyes to grow like deer lights. And this is exactly what happened. And this is why some of us have hit huge, massive momentum in 2016, 2017, 2018, even moving 2019, things were a little bit, there were some changes with the economy, and 2020 hit and boom. I mean, it was the reckoning. But you know what? We're still moving forward. We're adapting. But what really kept things moving is the fact that these blocks of 600 CV is much greater and much more motivating than 100 CV. So that's why the prime one is so important, because it creates that basic block that will maintain your bronze level, but not just your bronze level, but your downline's bronze level, which is our core rank. Okay, so I don't know, Tammy, if you want to add anything else to that, because you were sharing
Nope.
Okay,
it's
you're
good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening here, and it goes back to this, and this is one of the reasons why it's part of the presentation. And by the way, folks, we're revamping the presentation, and we'll keep you up to date on once we have a blueprint ready to start sharing with the team. That was just an FYI. But the fact here is the reason why this slide was here for is what was for that purpose. Is instead of growing with blocks of 100 CV from AutoShip, which is obviously the case, but if people understand the prime one, now you're going and you're quantifying with 600 CVs instead of 100 CVs. This is like a premier pack every month. Someone who's qualified prime one. You understand the power? So this is what this is. So when you're looking at an income, you want to create an income and live out of that like we're doing. And many, many thousands of associates around the globe are living full-time out of this. I know many of you would love to live full-time out of that. You can. But you may have to shift your thinking a little bit. Okay? So the customers, they're my default. And I love my customers, and I have plenty. But I always aim for the opportunity and default to my customers. If you talk to Eric Warrior, listen to the guy talk, that's how he talks. And that's the only people he's going to work with. So that's the reality of growing an organization. But if someone is not interested, trust me, I love them where they are. The products, I know they're going to benefit from them. So I don't want to lose them. I want them to become my customer. You understand how this works? That's how I think. That's our thinking. And that's why we grow a mammoth organization that pays well. Because our focus is not on the individual sales, but it's the networks that are duplicated. So what happens is the 2000 CV is what we talked about to bronze. And that's what we talked about, 200 to 500. That's your core rank. And to maintain that, well, the fact is if you have 4 people on your left and 4 people on your right, you might have just sponsored 2 personally. And the rest could have came from them and maybe someone above you that worked the business. It could be a combination of all above. You know what I'm saying? But what's important is that you maintain the 2,000 on your left, the 2,000 on your right. If the primes are duplicated, regardless of who sponsors who, that's how you get into momentum growth. And then when you get to silver, it's the same core rank. Just more people reaching for their core rank. And you go back, it's the prime. You go back, is a senior associate. And that's how it works. And you keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. Keep duplicating the core rank. Keep sharing the core rank. That's how you move up in this business. It doesn't matter if post-COVID or not. I'm telling you, people need what we have. The information is credible. The science is credible. All you need to do is keep sharing. Don't get all wrapped up on someone who don't see past their limitations or past what their belief is. Move on to someone else. I'm telling you, there are tens of thousands and millions of Americans and Canadians and Africans and Filipinos and Australians, and we can go Malaysian, millions are looking for an opportunity like this. If presented in a way that they see that there's value, for the consumption of these wonderful products and the work that you're doing, and share this within your social environment.
And duplicate. It's that simple. Once you do the main thing, which is the 5 steps, get to your bronze, then you continually duplicate that within your organization. If you have your own personal bronzes and bronzes within the team on your left and right, you will go up in ranks. It's that simple. Really, it's that simple. And the key is to follow the simple five steps. There's actually 4, and 5 is duplicate it and get your teams to do it. But first, you must do the action steps. You must reach this qualifying rank, this core rank, and maintain this core rank. And for you to grow this core rank, you need to be continually, actively engaged and making sure that your team members understand those 5 steps. Because if they understand it, they'll go out and do it.
You know, folks, the reason why Tammy and I are so keen and sharing the simplicity with you, even though you heard it before, is because when you hear multimillionaires sharing exactly what we do, it reinforces your belief. And sometimes we think that we need something new, we need something else, we need someone else to tell us what to do. And that's cool. But folks, the information we just shared with you, it is exactly what it is. It is that simple. And don't be intimidated by what someone may think or may say. I'm telling you. Let me ask you this. If you believe that what we have as a product is a service to society, I want you to give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. Okay, 1, 2, keep your thumb, I'm counting. Okay, okay. So we got everybody. Perfect, perfect. Okay, now, knowing that, my recommendation is lean on that thought if you fear approaching someone and fear what what the response may be. Because I understand that when it comes to the subject of money, I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I was there too. Trust me, I was there. I had a hard time bringing a subject of money. I had a hard time keeping the money. And what's interesting is because of that mindset, it was hard. You remember I used to say, for me to succeed, I had to bleed?
Yep.
I bled because that was my belief. And the reality here, folks, is what I remember telling myself when I was about to call someone to prospect them about this opportunity is anything that we do in life, people have to work for, and they have to spend money to get it. The fact here is, I know what I have is a service. And the fact is, if I present this information, knowing the service will serve them, they'll spend the money. Mm-hmm. And instead of feeding the fat cats, they are feeding the consumers themselves. I know that sounds simplistic, but that's what worked for me. Instead of having the money disappear with the big corporations, the consumers get compensated for telling other consumers. And that made total sense for me. It's like we keep the money in the family, a matter of speaking. The consumers get compensated for telling the same consumers, if you understand my meaning. And you need to work your mindset around that. Because money ranks up there with oxygen. And you breathe better with more. Would you agree with me? If you lack oxygen, it's not a pretty sight. Well, today money is kind of like that in our society. Would you agree? So the fact here is you have to work on your mindset. And there's something I'd like to suggest something that I got recently, and I really recommend for you to get it. It's called 12 Minutes. I'm telling you this because I'm one of those guys that reading, for me, it's like going through a dentist. I gotta force myself to read. But I do it because I need to learn, I need to evolve. But I found something that really works for me. Because often when you read a book, and again, it's no disrespect meant to books, but do you notice that there is core elements in a book that has value, but you had to go through all the fat and all the stuff because you can't have a book of 2 pages, right? So you have to have content for the book to sell. And I get the reason why. But if you could skip all that and just get the highlights. And here's the thing, in the past 3 days, I actually read 12 books. But, okay, I cheated. Because what's happening, it's an app. I'm trying to see if I can show it in a way that you guys can see it. Okay, I don't know if that's going to make sense. Okay, I'll go full screen later on. But it's called 12 Minutes. Search for an app. It's an app called 12 Minute. Okay, 12 minutes. And what happens is anywhere between 12 to 13 and a half minutes, it will summarize the book. And here are the books, just to give you an example. And I'm telling you this because it goes back to mindset, educating, evolving, learning. It's amazing how much information you'll gather fast. I read Pitch Anything, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Limitless.
Great for networking.
How to make money in stocks is just something that I'm interested in. The Ultimate Question 2.0. Start with Why with Simon Sinek. Powerful. Good to Great. I mean, everybody knows this book. The Steve Jobs Way. The Power of Positive Leadership. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Build to Last. The Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, everybody knows that, right? So I've read all these books and I wake up in the morning and instead of just, because sometimes I don't feel like waking up, we can all relate to that, right? I take this thing and I listen to it for 12 minutes and done. Or if we go for our walks, I pick a book and I will read 2 or 3 books, right? Because the walk's about an hour. So
When he said read, it's audio.
it's an audio book.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an audiobook and it's really well done. And often, and the fact is that it tells you all the books, so you can go back and listen to it. You can download it. It's $89 US. I think it ended up costing me 117 Canadian because I'm a Canadian citizen. I have my Canadian app with my service. So obviously through
For
the
a
Apple,
year.
it was a year. So it was $117. But folks, I mean, honestly, I have access to an enormous amount of books. Okay, so I recommend you go get it, and I think you can read 4 books for free.
Free. Yeah.
Give it a shot. Okay, 12-minute book summary. Paul, you rock. You got it. I think we talked about it earlier, so you're ahead. That's correct. Okay, so again, find some books that has to do with money thinking, money management, how I feel about money, things like that, and it's going to help you process how you feel towards making money. Because I'm telling you, if you can overcome the resistance or the challenge or whatever issue you may have around making money, it could completely change your life. Do you understand? Which brings us to our last point, which is training. So you want to cover that?
Yeah. So in the training portion, the moment we get people started, subscribe. If they subscribe to the Active Team website, they have access to all the training from documentation, PowerPoints, videos, audios. I mean, you name it. They've got everything. They have access to everything there. And the new associate orientation, the moment they subscribe, they get the PDF. You're able to go through that with your brand new associate. And there's a video there too that they can actually watch it and read the document. So it's perfect. And then you've got the Success Cycle Series training, which is the most important money-making activity training that they need to get themselves started right. And then the webinars here. Every single Monday night, there's something new, there's something different, there's some new PowerPoints coming up, there's a lot of new stuff coming up.
So the fact here is, in the Success Series, you can find it on activeteamtraining.com. It contains everything there. And I recommend that even if you've listened to it a year ago or 2 years ago, go back into it. It may trigger some thoughts. It may trigger some ideas. It may even trigger some some contacts that you might have thought about just based on an example that was shared on the call or on the video. And that, I cannot stress this enough. You got to stay plugged in. You have to have your teams also plugged in. It's really, really important. Really important. And just as we end here, let me just kind of end the share screen so we can go ahead and go full screen again. Just one moment here. Chat, here we go. Okay. I lost my frame of thought, and there was something that I wanted to say as we finished this, and it just went and it left as fast as it came in. Is that what we call a senior moment?
It's called a busy Monday.
There's something
Been
I
a
wanted
long
to share
day.
with you as we end, and it just came in, and it's probably gonna come back later on. So here's what's important here, team. I recommend to revisit the people that you have sponsored before. Some may be active, some may be inactive, and reconnect. And maybe, let me give you an example. And by the way, Maripol, I agree. There's another one called the executive summary. I'm sure there's plenty of examples that we can use, and I appreciate the feedback here. Absolutely correct. I like the 12 minutes because I find that it just resonated with me very well. But for example, you may say, "Hey, John, Mary, whoever that you might be calling, I came across this app. It's awesome, awesome," and that could be the opening, right? Another thing. Oh, that's what I wanted to share. Tammy and I had a really great session with Mike and Lynn, John Winterholler, and Michael Clapier. And we started talking about some ideas on how to stimulate the North American market. And we're coming up with some really interesting podcasts. So I know on the 25th, as you know, Max is doing a webinar event that's going to be hosted by Michael Clapier. And I believe they're going to be announcing it. Yeah. And Tammy and I, Mike and Lynn, we're going to be interacting with Michael Clapier. And it's going to be a different twist. I think you guys are going to love it. And I'm telling you this because it's important that not only you plug in, but this could be an example where, hey, there's a webinar session, a podcast session that is going to be shared that I'd like for you to listen to. And it's going to be some great content that's going to be shared in that podcast. And you know what? That might be the trigger that might incite them to revisit the idea again, right? And there's many other examples. And if you need some help, just let us know. I'm just a phone call away. Tammy's a phone call away. We're a text away, or WhatsApp away, or Facebook message away, whatever works for you.
We're here.
And I'll be happy to give you some ideas. But
and just so you know, we're going to be doing the first podcast once they announce it this session. This week, I think they're announcing it. And they're going to have a series of podcasts getting other leaders into the podcast, asking them questions. There's going to be a bunch of questions rolled out, which is great because you're going to get to know people's stories, because we all have similar stories, but we do have unique stories as well. And I think even prospects, Chris, are going to really benefit from these podcasts as well, especially somebody who's evaluating and they're so close to coming in, and then you have them listen to a podcast and that was their final decision. So I think it's a great thing that they're doing.
And you know, what I found when building this business, it is just a fine line to get someone to cross the fence to get started. Yeah. It's often a tiny thing that was not covered or maybe you weren't persistent enough, or maybe you got distracted and you went on to other things, and the person just, it's such a small little gap that could make a difference from someone not doing the business and someone doing the business. And a lot of it has to do with our own personal belief in thinking, is it worth it? Am I wasting my time? I'm telling you, not you are not. Not you are not wasting your time. It's an incredible opportunity. We count our blessings every day that we chose this life 13 years ago.
And stuck to it. And that the simple little consistent things on a daily basis.
Yes.
And those 30-day drives or those 90-day drives that created that, faster paced momentum that got us and many, many people to the levels that they're at today. So ask yourself these questions. Have you seriously done a 30-day drive? Like, seriously? Or have you seriously done a 90-day drive? Or have you seriously done Eric's got that 20 and 30, right? So have you done that seriously? Because if you have and you followed the system, then you got some momentum in signing up people. And if you would have got those people to do the same thing, then you get another round of momentum. And that's how you build an organization.
Right. So as we close this session here, it is 9 o'clock. I appreciate Mireille. I said 12-minute changed my life. And I can relate to that comment, because I'm realizing the same thing, Mireille, is I just don't have a lot of time. I'm so tied up every day on some things. If it's not the Max business, it's the accounting. If it's not the accounting, it's the contracting that's going on. If it's not that, it's the business. If it's not that, it's a call with the team. It's a webinar here. It just never ends. Next thing you know, we also need to train, and we need to go shop. There's always some. When I mean shop, I don't mean groceries, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, there's
He
always
pointed
something.
to me when he said groceries.
Well, I know you're the queen when it comes to that.
Okay,
But the fact here, folks, is take the time, download this app, pick some great books. It's free to try it, read 4 or listen to the 4 books, and then make a decision yourself. And I think you won't regret it. So listen, everybody, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. You've been unmuted. If there's anything you want to add or share, by all means. But again, thank you, everybody. And we really welcome your comments once the video is posted on the YouTube session. So have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Tammy and Chris.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Have an awesome week.
Bye-bye. Good morning, all.
Bye.
Hey, Paul, great. You came in late.
Hi, everyone.
You gave us
Have a good night.
very useful information.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre.